He's widely considered the father of modern rock drumming. His style, touch, vocabulary, and recorded drum sound created a whole new EDM. Drummers far and wide give him credit as a primary influence. Of course, I'm speaking about the one and only John Bonham. But I'm a jazz drummer, right? A skinny-sticked brush jockey. What does a jazz drummer care about the greatest rock drummer of all time? Well, first of all, you don't know me, bro. I was listening to Zeppelin since before I studied jazz, so I've long appreciated Bonham. What's more, even if you're not like me, and the sound of a Zeppelin or AC/DC anthem doesn't give you that Jack Black fire in your loins, if you're a fusion nerd or even just a drum nerd, you probably remember this ditty from Vinnie Colaiuta's solo album. Well, where did that come from? I'm not saying it's a straight line, but the influence is definitely there. And Vinnie himself credits Led Zeppelin as one of the primary things that got him into drumming. So today, a jazz drummer considers the man who's on the short list for greatest rock drummer of all time. And I'm going to show you 3 of my favorite John Bonham moments, again inspired by my friend Scott Devine's Beast Mode series. Whether you do jazz face or rock out with your... Never mind. I know you'll enjoy these 3 Bonham moments. Stay tuned. And before we go on, guys, I just want to mention that all of the licks I'm showing you in this lesson will be transcribed for you, and all you need to do to get that transcription is click the link below the player. You can get it with a special bonus gift of 3 free videos I'll send you that I don't share on YouTube, or you can get it free and clear. Okay, back to the lesson. Bonham moment the first. Intro to rock and roll. There are a lot of things to like about Bonham's straight 8th shuffle in the song Rock and Roll. From the propulsiveness to the drum sound, to the much studied fill at the end. I mean, the boogada, as it's called, is hugely influential in drumming. In fact, 30 seconds on the boogada. So there are a couple of flavors of boogada. One of them is just snare, rack, floor tom, kick. Another is snare, rack, kick, floor tom. And yet a third is snare, rack, double floor tom, kick. 2 quick things you can do with a basic boogada, to say nothing of its modern hybrids. First, there's a classic dotted 8th phrasing, where the snare drum initiating the lick gets placed on the dotted 8ths. As you can hear Bonham doing this fill in Stairway, or as Steve Gadd does in Asia. And usually that's the snare, rack, floor, kick version of boogada. So it would be something like 3, 4. And I think the stairway fill is something like 3, 4. And so the second half of that fill is the second form of boogada, the snare, rack, kick, floor tom variety. More about which later, but first you can also do that dotted quarter thing with the double kick tom version, which will sound like 3, 4. Which gives it a little bit thicker sound, and when you play that with the snare on dotted 8ths, you're really doing nested 30 seconds. Okay, so the other form of boogada where you can go down, up. And that's easiest to play just as triplets, and they're just orchestrated. And the last Bonham trick I'll show you is stuff like this. 3, 4. So boogadas are my second favorite part of the rock and roll drum part. My favorite part of this song is the intro. It's the second song on Zeppelin 4, and the first time you hear it, you think the beat is in one place. And then when the song actually comes in, it surprises you. So let's break that down. The confusion comes because it sounds like Bonham's starting on the downbeat. And if you're starting from there, there's no way to arrive at the downbeat of the song without a bar of 3/8. But the fill actually starts on the upbeat of 3. 3 and 4 and 1, 2. Listen as I play along with Bonham, and I've overdubbed counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You might be wondering, how did the band know when to come in? I'm sure somebody in the comments will let me know if there's actually a story behind this. But the most likely way is either Bonham just told the band what he was going to do, or else Robert Plant counted it off so the band already knew where 1 was, and they just cut the count off out of the recording, as happens often in the studio. In either case, I think the effect is great and surprising. Now, you probably think I'm going to talk about good times, bad times, but I actually already did a video on that years ago. Nope, for our second Bonham moment, I gotta go 4 sticks. So, 4 sticks has a few things going for it that make it kind of a slept-on Bonham beat. First, there's the interplay between 5 and 6. Then there's the innovative beat itself. Bonham's original beat inspired this cover by Henry Rollins' band in the 90s. Anyway, the YouTuber Bonhamology does a great breakdown and cover of this tune, so let's watch just a bit. That whole video is like 20 minutes long, and I'll link it below. Now let me piggyback and try to break down his breakdown. So I'm going to tell you the order in which you might want to master that 4 sticks beat because of how it was easiest for me to learn. First of all, holding the 4 sticks is more of a challenge than you might imagine. So let's go ahead and start with 2 sticks. Next, I want to show you the basic hand pattern in 5, which is actually going to be easiest if we just do it on the toms with no feet. So 4, 5. And of course, that's assuming the entire beat stays in 5 without those bars of 6, which you can worry about later. Next, I would think about putting the kick drum on those 8th note offbeats. 4, 5. And I'm going to play it actually on the snare and the ride cymbal, so you can hear with a little more clarity because there's a lot of muddiness that happens. There's a lot of wonderful Bonham muddiness. But for purposes of learning it, let's do it this way. 4, 5. And of course, in real life, Bonham plays with this and improvises around it a lot more, but we're just learning the basic pattern here. Finally, we're going to add the hats on quarter notes. So 4, 5. Move the hands back to the high tom and the low tom. 4, 5. And the 6th version of this just looks like 4, 5, 6. So with that basic premise, when you learn the tune and you learn where the cymbal hits are, you should be able to play 4 sticks. Oh, and you're going to need 4 sticks. Cool. Next, let's look at my 3rd and final Bonham moment, which might actually be the ultimate jazz face moment in all of rock music. Dazed and confused. There's so much right about this moment, but my second favorite thing about it is the way the band is playing quiet and subdued. And you're thinking, what octave is Robert Plant gonna sing this at? Then he comes in full volume at just an impossible vocal range. Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. Chills, right? You can hear the Robert Plant influence throughout modern rock, including on one of my other favorite rock singers, Chris Cornell. May he rest in peace. Anyway, my favorite moment in Dazed and Confused is at the end of the first verse when Bonham comes in with the beat. Let's quickly break down what Bonzo's doing here. So there are three fills that made the Dazed and Confused beat amazing. In the first chorus, Bonham alternates between these two. And here's number two. And in the second chorus, he introduces a third, which is really just brute force triplet single strokes. Let's hear it first on the recording. Now I'll try to play it. There's something else going on too. Notice where the guitar and bass line is in relationship to the beat in chorus 1. Now listen to the same line in chorus 2. So they've shifted the beat over by a quarter note, or a dotted half depending on whether you hear the song in a big 4 or a faster 3. Boom. So even if you're a drink tea with his pinky up, wear turtlenecks, listen to NPR late at night jazz snob like I am, there's plenty for even the snobbiest jazz snob to appreciate in Bonzo. Like, take Kneebody. I assume Nate Wood is a Bonham fan, but I don't know for sure. Listen to this beat from Uprising. Or this one from The Line. Listen to practically anything Tigran ever recorded. I don't think I'm going too far out on a limb by saying that attitude, that aggression, comes from harder forms of rock. Whether it's metal, or alternative bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden, or early metal like Ozzy or AC/DC, basically your Jack Black rock bands. And there's a direct through line from that stuff that goes all the way back to Bonham. Ignore Bonham at your peril, even if you're a jazzer. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, the licks I'm teaching in this lesson are pretty easy to hear, but if you'd still like a transcription, you can get it for free by clicking the link below the player. And on the next page, you can choose whether you'd like that transcription to arrive with the special bonus gift of a subscription to my mailing list, where I'll send you 3 free videos in 3 weeks that'll make your playing better than it's gotten in the last 6 months, or whether you want to just grab the transcription and run. No mailing list sub, no thank you. Either way, it's all good. Hope you've enjoyed this one. I'll be back real soon with another lesson of the week. It's gonna release howls of protest when I disconnect this. Oh God! MIDI inputs changed. What are we gonna do? I don't know, bro. It's so terrible. Audio. We put the audio in adios. I'm not gonna do that reenactment. Literally kill me.